Welcome to Bulldog Talk. My name is Jesse Bernal. Our special guest is Douglas Mayor Robert Uribe. Mayor Uribe, what brought you to Douglas?
Well, thank you for having me here, Jesse. What brought me to Douglas was my wife. When she finished her master's degree at ASU, she was offered a teaching job at Cochise College. And at that time, I was still living in Phoenix, and I was working there. But I was missing her so much. So I was traveling back and forth. And so at some point, I said, enough is enough. The commute was taking a toll on me, so I decided just to relocate and move here to Douglas. So that's essentially what brought me to Douglas. My wife graduating, she was offered a teaching job at Cochise, and we both relocated here.
What were you doing prior to becoming the mayor of Douglas?
So even prior to the cafe, I worked in various jobs. So I worked at the University of Phoenix. I worked for when the housing market was at its peak. I worked for several loan companies, and so I was pretty active when it came to working with different corporate institutions. And then finally, when I moved to Douglas, my wife and I came up with the idea of opening a coffee shop. And when we opened a coffee shop, it was, lack of a better words, paradise. We finally opened a focus point where we can focus on the arts, and so Galliano's Cafe has been very instrumental in providing me the opportunity that I have here. I sit next to you as the mayor of Douglas. The cafe was that driving force behind me getting to know different individuals, meeting the residents, and providing me the opportunity of becoming the mayor of Douglas.
How was working at Galliano's? I just want to get that off the way. How was it working there? Like what is your honest opinion, and what experience have you gained from working at a coffee shop such as that?
The experience overall has been magnificent. It's also given me the opportunity to learn about how to run a business, the entrepreneurial aspects of things. So I love the cafe. The cafe has been, it's taught me lots of things. It wasn't a very easy experience, or it's not easy running a business. You have to constantly stay there, stay on top of things, continue to be innovative, progressive, and have a vision. If that doesn't work out, you have to go back again, to figure out how do you attract new customers, how do you keep that momentum going in the cafe. So I loved working there. I wish I can still work there. If we don't, if with this offer that we were offered doesn't go through, then I would love to go back there and continue what we've been doing.
It's a very, very interesting take on it. So speaking of momentum, how can we really keep the vibe going on here in Douglas? Like, how can we appeal to businesses and make people want to be here? How do you think we can do that?
Great question, Jesse. I think it starts with our attitude. I think it starts, we have one of the biggest assets, and that's social media. How do we promote the city of Douglas? Is by, when someone is asking me, where's the best place to stay? I recommend local. I recommend the Gatson Hotel for lodge. I recommend local restaurants. I recommend Cheracao Mountains. I recommend Agua Prieta. Just our approach, that's number one, attitude. As far as aesthetic, we're in the process of I don't want to say rebranding, but we're working on a slogan that's very catchy along with a new logo. So how do we attract and bring socioeconomic growth in there? Those two, bringing a new contemporary, progressive, forward-thinking logo along with a slogan that becomes fluent, that when you say Douglas, it comes with the slogan. So those are the two or the three ideas I have as far as creating this new wave of a lot of people. I'm from New York City, and a lot of people think that when you live on a border, it's about, they think that you're in a war zone, that people are literally carrying handguns and machine guns, and you see, and that's not the way that we live here. I'm very safe. So how do we send that message out? Our phones, right? So we snap a picture, hashtag Douglas, Arizona. what's happening in Douglas, and that's the momentum that we have right now. That's the image that I like for all of us to rally behind, is that we are safe, we live in the best border community in Arizona, and that's what we need to be promoting.
That was a very optimistic view on the whole community and how we're living, like how you explained everything in that way. That was just very, very positive, and I like that. But how do you feel we can make this community better overall? Like, how do you think we can do that?
Sure. Overall, again, suggesting that when you have a good experience, you leave a great feedback, right? Because if we're going to attract tourism and visitors here, we have to make sure that when people are Googling Douglas, Arizona, that there's that positive thing that you and I feel, which is safe, which is that love, that community-oriented atmosphere that we have. That's something that we can work on. As far as the city, we're in the process of hiring a community economic developer, and he or she has to focus on creating what you and the rest of our residents are craving for, which is growth within the economy. We're also in the process of hiring a city manager as well, and we are currently have been working on with a binational consultant, which is going to be focusing on the trade and the commerce that goes through our borders. So those three components are very effective when they understand our needs and our vision. And when I was elected mayor, or prior to being elected mayor, those were the issues that were talked about vigorously, is that we need to, the image that we have of Douglas, that is a crime and war zone, which is completely not true. The fact that there is no growth and the lack of jobs is some of the concerns that we have. So economic developer is going to focus on creating that vision that we're working on, and new city manager and binational consultant is something that we look forward to working with.
Thank you very much, Mayor Uribe, for coming by and answering our questions. I'm your host, Jesse Bernal, and this has been Bulldog Talk.